Tuesday one for you, Firewall. So we're going to be starting with some good pump sesh. Dave was kind enough to program for us a lot of pump in not a lot of time. So we're going to start with 5 rounds of quality. It's not for time, but we are looking to kind of push our pace a little bit just so we do get kind of the high volume in of 15 seconds max effort push-ups. Then you're gonna take about a 15-second or so rest. If you're moving at this at your own pace, feel free to shorten up that rest a little bit. Try not to rest longer than 15 seconds for the transition. Then you're gonna go into 30 seconds max effort right arm dumbbell floor presses. So 30 seconds there, we'll review that in a second. Followed immediately by 30 more seconds of max effort dumbbell floor press on your left arm. Once you've done that full minute of pressing, you're gonna rest 15 seconds. You're gonna move that dumbbell onto your hips, and we got 45 seconds of max effort hip bridges with a 3-second pause at the top of each rep. Once you've completed those 45 seconds, you're gonna get about a 10 to 15 second rest before you start the round back over again. So we're gonna go back and break all this down. For the max effort push-ups, we're getting as many reps in as we can in that 15 seconds, which means we're gonna look for a quick lockout at the top of each rep, and we don't really wanna be pausing and resting. It's just 15 seconds, it's go, go, go. We shouldn't be doing 5, resting, and then doing 5 more. You should stay in that push-up position the whole time. So the push-up, we're gonna take this step by step. One, you can do those push-ups on your knees if you don't have an elevated surface. We recommend that you do use an elevated surface to do your push-ups if you don't have the full one, but if not, you can go from the knees. So going from the knees, I'm gonna get my knees together and feet together, and they're both gonna be on the ground. I'm gonna bring my hands forward enough where I can bring my body into a plank. So from my knees to my hips to my shoulders, it's one straight line. I am not sticking my butt up in the air like this and trying to kiss the ground with my elbows out. So what I'm gonna try to do here is keep my core engaged. When I lower it down, I'm gonna keep my elbows tucked in tight to my ribs. I'm gonna bring my chest to the floor, but that's the only new thing touching the floor, just my chest, not my stomach or my hips. Those are engaged and off the ground. When I press out, I'm gonna lock out. So in my 15 seconds, we want something around this speed, where I'm getting that quick lockout and then going right back down to the ground. If you do have a surface that you can do push-ups to, like a bench, a chair, a table, whatever it might be, you're gonna come over to it. We're gonna set up now with our feet being the only thing on the ground. And I'm gonna keep from my heels to my shoulders in a plank position. Same idea here, we're lowering the chest down, tapping, and then we're locking ourselves right back out at the top. Trying to, again, constantly move for 15 seconds. If we got that full push-up, we'll be on the ground, feet together. Should look the exact same as on an elevated surface. We're touching our chest to the ground, locking out, and then returning back to the floor. So that's your 15 seconds of max push-ups. After your rest, we're gonna flip onto the back. We're gonna put our feet flat on the ground for our dumbbell presses. So now, I'm gonna have my feet flat on the floor here. I am going to almost treat this like a dead bug, where I want my lower back to be pressing into the floor. So you should feel a little bit of core working here. You shouldn't be arching your back like you might normally do benching a barbell off of a rack. So I'm keeping my ribs down and my lower back on the floor. We're gonna bring this dumbbell up so my elbow is stacked right under my wrist and it's tucked in tight to my side. I'm gonna press up and lock this dumbbell out right over my shoulder. So my wrist to shoulder is straight up and down. It's not forward at all. I'm not back. I'm not out to the side. It's one straight line up into the air. When I come down, I'm gonna focus on keeping my elbow in nice and tight to my side. As soon as it taps the ground, I'm gonna press back out. So this is about the speed we want you going at today. A nice control down to the ground and a strong press out over your chest. We don't want you to have that elbow flaring out like this and then coming back towards the middle across the body. Keep it nice and tight. We're gonna target that tricep a little bit more. If you wanna add in even more core work to this movement, what we can do is raise those knees over our hips and keep our lower back down the whole time. So this will really be a lot more like a dead bug now. So I'm engaging my core more, I'm squeezing tight, and that press is the exact same. Control down, strong press up, 30 seconds on my right, and then I would switch to 30 seconds on the left. Try out both ways before you actually start this strength work, just so you know which one you want to do once the clock gets starting. That last movement we had, you could actually stay right down on the ground, more or less in that same position, is gonna be those hip bridges, where feet are again gonna be tucked down, right near the butt. I'm gonna get that dumbbell on my hips, right on kind of that pelvis area. I'm gonna drive out of my heels where my toes actually can float up. I'm thinking about squeezing my butt, squeezing my hamstrings really tight for 3 seconds, and then I'm gonna control my lower back to the floor. So it's a press up, 3, 2, 1, and then control my lower down. What we don't want to see is a short count, 3, 2, 1, and then a hard plop back down to the floor. Control this movement for the 45 seconds. So again, you're gonna be rotating through those 3 or 4, depends if you consider the floor press each arm a separate movement, for 5 rounds for quality time. Again, 10 to 15 seconds of rest, move at your own pace. If you don't want to rest that long, you just want to go right into the next one, awesome, but you shouldn't be getting that out of breath during this. Lastly, our conditioning piece on this beautiful Tuesday is going to be an Amrap 8 strict burpees, just straight up for 8 minutes. We're getting our strict burpee in. What's different than the regular burpees, we're gonna make this a push-up at the ground. So the full movement is gonna look a little something like this. Let me move this dumbbell out of the way. I'm gonna plant my hands to the ground first, kick the feet back, pause here. I now need to do a push-up rather than worming down. So instead of just letting my body collapse, I'm gonna keep my core engaged. I'm gonna tap my chest to the ground, press out, and then I'm bringing my feet back up. So my hips never touch the floor. Couple ways we can modify this is doing these push-ups from the knees. It adds in a few more steps and takes a little bit more time, but you're still gonna get a crazy good workout in. So if you can't do that full push-up or you're gonna get fatigued really fast from doing it, here's another option. We kick back the same way. We drop the knees to the floor. We do that push-up we talked about earlier. We lift those knees back up, and then we bring the feet up and clap the hands. Again, the hips never touch the ground. So even if you are doing the knee push-up, make sure it doesn't end up looking like this. All right, we're pretty much just doing a burpee there and defeating the purpose of what we're looking to get out of this workout. The last option you can do today, if you don't have the full push-up, is to do 5 push-ups from an elevated surface and then 5 burpees. So like we talked about up at the beginning here, you can come right down here, you can give me 5 push-ups, and then you would come down to the ground and you can do 5 regular burpees where you do warm down and warm up, jump, and clap. All right, good luck with this Amrap 8. We're looking to get in about 80 reps. That's gonna be your goal, averaging about 10 reps a minute, 1 rep every 6 seconds. Good luck on this one.